Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jillian Barry, and I'm so excited. Today we have an awesome video in store for you guys. We have Brooke on, and she has had a massive transformation. She was actually recommended by my friend Magri Jade. She has been on the channel before. She is a juice coach, Magri Jade, and she was like, you have to have Brooke on. And she introduced me to Brooke, who, like I said, has had this huge transformation. She is now raw, Brooke, and she has also recently completed a 108-day juice fast. So we're going to hear all about her health journey, what has done, what has worked for her, and just the internal and external benefits she's experienced. So you guys are going to want to stick around to the end. Make sure you give this a big thumbs up right now before we get started and subscribe if you don't already. And let's get right into it. Hey, Brooke, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. We're really excited.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. I'm hoping that it can help other people along the way. Changing is not easy, but it's so worth it when we can jump in and accomplish this stuff for our health. And also, I'm vegan for the animals, so every little bit helps. So I'm hoping that it can help people along the way too.
Absolutely. I feel like you can inspire so many people, and I love having people on with real stories. So I'm grateful to have you on. And just so the viewers know to start out too, you have lost over 100 pounds total in your health transformation from the beginning until now, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think your health transformation when you first started becoming more health conscious, you didn't start out with going vegan or raw vegan right away, right? So I'd sort of like to start out with maybe what sort of health problems you were encountering and where your more health conscious journey started.
Well, my journey started in 2007. I was kind of at a really, really low point at that point in my life. I had went through a divorce about 8 years prior to that, and just suffered terrible depression and really hit that bottom. Struggling with all kinds of addictions and just hit the bottom. And had that moment on my bedroom floor in the fetal position, crying out to God, "You have to do something because I can't do this anymore." Total rock bottom. And it changed. It's just a transformation. It was like it was out of my hands at that point. I turned it over and got in touch with a life coach through my a work program, and started some counseling and learned about organic food. So that's where my journey started with, was organic food. But it wasn't about weight loss at that point. It was about getting healthy mentally and physically, spiritually. And over the course of the first year, that was like 2007 to 2008, lost the weight, connected spiritually, and then, the weight loss was just secondary to really getting off of 6 medications and starting to lose the weight, and was able to transform and keep most of that off. And fast forward to last year, about 6 years ago, I ran into some autoimmune issues, I think from taking way too much ibuprofen after some elective skin surgery. I kept that weight off for a long time, had all this extra skin. So I opted to do some skin surgery and don't like pain pills. So I went on a regimen of Tylenol, ibuprofen, killed my gut.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, not knowing what it was doing. And, I was at, top of my game. I was doing Spartan races. I was doing half marathons, feeling great. And then leaky gut caught up with me. And, so the past 5 to 6 years, I had been, trying to find the answer. I did all the, mainstream keto, autoimmune paleo, things that are I've since found out terrible for us, total wrong path. And then, a year ago, February, it's like I knew I needed to go vegan. Was not happy about it at the time, but I knew that's what I needed to do. So went vegan, and along the way, then got into the ethical side of it since then, realizing, and was high raw last year. And then I did 2 small juice fasts last year. And then at the end of last year, then it's like, all right, time to jump in. I was going to make it my New Year's resolution, but at the beginning of December, it's like, no, time is now. And I knew I needed to jump in, and I jumped in for that. And I was thinking 90 days, but I wasn't done at that point. I knew I needed to keep going. I wasn't, my gut was not cleaned out the way that it needed to be, and so extended it. And thankfully, the moderators and Raw Vegan Heroes helped me limp past that finish line. It was emotionally, it was really tough there at the end, you know, going past the 90 days. You know, it's like I just wanted to get to 90 days, but kept going, you know, doing what
Wow.
needed to be done.
Yeah, what
And
a massive accomplishment. So I want to talk a lot
thank
about your
you.
juice cleanse in a minute because this is like sort
Okay.
of pretty fresh too. It's pretty recent. It's
Good.
not too super long ago.
Yeah, two
And
months.
you
I've been raw 2 months since then.
yeah, and I feel like you can help a lot of people with the juice cleanse tips and stuff like that too in your experience.
Yeah.
But first I would love to know, so when you first went vegan, when you first went vegan, you first went cooked vegan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cooked, but a lot of it was raw. I knew that I was leaning into that and knew that I was going to be juice fasting. But back then, and I was struggling with insulin resistance at that time too. So I would get massively hungry. You know, I just didn't even know how I was going to accomplish it. It was one of those things. It's like, you know, you're going to do it. It's like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this.
But you just know
And
you're going to do it. Yeah.
just know you're going to do it. You know, it's like we don't always have to worry about the details. It's just you keep leaning into it and keep working towards it and try to be gentle and not beat yourself up along the way. You know, it's like because it's like we struggle, there's ups and downs, and just keep working towards it. And then, you know, with the big juice fast, then once I got a couple weeks in, I knew I wasn't breaking the fast. I knew I was going to, you know, as John Rose says, to go the distance. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like, yeah, a few weeks in, and it's like, okay, that was the hard part, getting past, you know, a couple of weeks, and then it's like you just have to sit with it. I mean, it's like when I was training long distance events, you know, it's like get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you know, you're going to be uncomfortable at times. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to numb out with food or alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be.
No. So what sort of inspired you to do a juice cleanse?
Well, you know, it's watching a lot of YouTube and the truth community. There's just all this push about juice cleansing. You know, heard about John Rose. You know, and pain is motivating. It's like these autoimmune issues were kicking my butt, and I had all this out of proportion muscle soreness. You know, I've worked out for the past 15 years, but it was to the point where I was ready to quit. You know, my muscles hurt. I'd wake up and it's like, God, my body just hurt. Very discouraging to be at that point when it's like I've ate, you know, I never did go back to not eating healthy. It's just I wasn't finding what I needed, and my body I needed to cleanse, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
it was actually fairly quickly into the juice fast that all that pain went away. It's like I could wake up and say, oh, I feel good. And, you know,
Yeah.
which was amazing because I had been living with chronic pain. And I think it pales in comparison to some of the other chronically ill people that have tremendous amounts of pain. I wasn't taking pain medicine stuff, but it was just, I would just be so sore, you know, with a tiny little bit of work, you know, and it's like, it was so frustrating.
Yeah. It's amazing how quick the benefits can kick in with a juice cleanse and like how
Yeah.
good you can feel. So what would you say were all the benefits you started to experience on the juice cleanse?
Well, number one, the physical, you know, and then coming off of it, see, I was born with a bladder condition that they called it an uncoordinated bladder. So I had chronic infection and stuff, and had to take a ton of antibiotics, which did not, of course, help any of this, you know, chronic
Mhm.
constipation and all of that. So, you know, there's still some things I cannot digest, and I know that I can work into that slowly. But, you know, just to feel normal in that regard, you know, to be cleaned out before the juice fast, I had to take magnesium on a regular basis. I'm not taking any supplements at this time. I know probably at some point I'll have to take B12, but right now my levels look okay. So yeah, just to normalize in that regard is phenomenal. You know, I feel good. I'm still a little fatigued at times, but I work night shifts. So, you know, it's like, well, is it still from the healing? Because I know healing takes place for a long time with the juice after the juice fast. That's just like step one, you know, so just to feel good. And, you know, you're eating raw food and it's just like, it's so good. It's like, you just feel so good with it. And you don't feel
Mhm.
heavy. You know, I feel light, you know, I feel comfortable in my skin. You know, there's just so many benefits. The list goes on and on and on. It's just amazing.
And you feel happier, would you say?
Oh my goodness, yes. You know, just mentally clear, you know, content, just relaxed too. You know, even in stressful situations, stressors are not the same. It's just incredible. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, you just kind of, can go with the flow. You aren't triggered nearly as much, it's just amazing.
And what would you say? So you've tried many different diets. You were saying you've tried keto, you've tried everything, you've tried raw vegan, you've tried the juice cleanse. What would you say impacted your life the most of everything you've tried? Like for in a positive manner,
In a positive manner. I'm
like
gonna
the most life-changing thing that you've done on this path.
oh, I would definitely say doing the juice fast and going raw, because I think we just connect spiritually so much more. I feel much more awakened. This whole thing with the ethical vegan and the animals, and I feel like I have healing to do in that regard. I don't feel strong enough to do activism at this point, but I feel like that's where my life is going
Mm.
ultimately.
Yeah.
What that's going to look like, I don't know exactly. But emotionally, you know, I still get emotional fairly easily. I was out on the highway today. I don't get on the highways very often, but I saw 4 semis with the pigs in them, and
Mm.
exactly where they're going. And it's like last week I saw one when I was on the road, I started crying, and it's just like, I feel like we need to do something. I don't know what exactly, but it's like, help wake people up because it's just horrendous.
Yeah, I definitely feel like just naturally when you're eating the raw living foods, it just makes you feel more compassion and more spiritual and more connected to that side of things just naturally. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just develop that compassion. And so I'm wondering back to the juice cleanse a little bit. So for somebody out there who might want to try a juice cleanse and they have a hard time staying on track and fighting those cravings, especially in the first few days, it can be really hard. You can feel bloated at the beginning. It can be tired. It
Mhm.
can be really strong, the cravings you experience. So do you have any advice for people out there who want to stay on track with it and make it last? Maybe not even 108 days, but even if they want to get through like a 1, 2, 3 week or 100 days.
Right.
So like what made you stick to it? Because it's a great mental game and you really did an excellent job.
Well, it was just, that's I kept leaning into it. I did 3 days, and then I did like a week. Sometimes, do a test run that way, and be gentle and keep working towards it. And then it was like I said, I planned on the New Year's resolution, and then it was just like I just knew it was time, and I just went into it, and it was just that game. And then it was like day 29. I had seen Shane Sterling in an interview last year. I couldn't remember his name, and then it popped up as it goes, and it was day 29. It's like, okay, I need some support. I want to make sure I break this fast properly. And so that's when I joined Raw Vegan Heroes, just to get community support.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then that gave some guidelines, some guidance, write down your vision of why you're doing it. So when it gets really difficult, because there are difficult moments, and depending on how much shadow work people have done, I did a lot of that back, when I first started getting healthy. I worked with the life coach and stuff. So the shadow work, a lot of it had been completed for me, but it still gets uncomfortable. There's times it's like I
Mhm.
just want to eat, and it's like there is no comfort in that. We numb out so much with food, or the comfort of food, everything that's tied with that. And if you have some type of support community, whether it's Raw Vegan Heroes or if you find other people online, I know for me personally, and I think so many people don't do what we do. If you find vegan, they certainly, most of them are not raw vegan. And so if that's if that's the trajectory you're on, find the online group that's going to help you. It's like you might luck out and
Mhm.
find somebody in your community, but that's not been my I know 2 vegans, and they aren't real close to me. So, I don't have anybody doing raw. So, if you have the online community, that helps
Yeah, I
a
think that
lot.
helps huge. Yeah, I believe in that so much. I used to be part of that group. It was amazing. I'm planning on starting my own group soon as well. I think it's
Oh,
just
okay.
so key
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
the
definitely.
support. Like that group helped me a lot along the way too, and especially during a juice fast. So that's great. And I'm wondering, so a lot of people say they release a lot of mucoid plaque on a juice cleanse, like the hard plaque that can build up
Yeah.
inside of us from eating incorrectly over a number of decades, right? And A lot of
Yes.
people pull out this plaque and it can be like really hard and long pieces. And then they say they
Yeah.
feel like this euphoric feeling. And it's just like so amazing. It's almost like how our teeth need a proper cleaning from plaque. They say there's this plaque
Right.
in our colon. So I'm wondering, did you release any of this plaque on a juice cleanse? Because I know that's one of the most common ways to release it. I know it's very difficult to release when you're eating foods, even raw foods.
Well, I wasn't examining quite the way that some
Mhm.
people do. So I am assuming that I did, but I wasn't like, holding it up the same way. I mean, you could tell there was old stuff coming out. And I'm assuming that that is the case.
Yeah.
That's why I kept going, because I was just getting so much stuff out. And so I know that I'm sure you've heard of the prune test.
I've done
Yeah.
that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, after 108 days, I did the prune test, and you want your bowel transit time to be anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours after you consume the soaked prunes. And that was at 90 minutes. So it's like, okay, I'm good. So it's like the fact that I didn't, specifically, look at it and see it and know for sure, it's like that bowel transit time is right where it needed to be. So,
hmm
and for the most part, everything's good. It's like, now I ate broccoli not too long ago and it bloated the heck out of me. So, it's just some things that I just can't digest yet. But, that's you're learning along the way, slowly introducing stuff. But for the most part, it's been really, really good.
That's great. And what are you currently eating in a day, like to feel full and satisfied? Because I know a lot of people, when they want to try the raw diet or they try out the raw living foods lifestyle, and they say they're always hungry all the time and they have a hard time getting enough calories. So do you find there's anything that works for you to feel satisfied and get those calories in?
Oh yeah. I say I really don't experience hunger at all, because it's like I do like a couple of fruit meals in the morning. So you get a bulk of calories from the fruit, but I pair that with greens also. So you get the minerals, I've incorporated sea vegetables for the minerals, and that provides some salt. I'm not doing salt. I'm doing no oil, but low fat. I'll do the fat in the evening. And then, so I do a couple of fruit meals, make sure I'm getting a high amount of calories that way. And then usually like cucumber or zucchini noodles with some type of no fat sauce. I'll do a marinara, huge salad, and then in the evening is when I'll do something that will incorporate, like the fat component, whether it's avocado, hemp seed, pumpkin seeds, some nuts. But keep that. I'm doing the 80-10-10 to allow my gut to finish healing, and may up that, down the road. But right now I'm going to stick to that. But
Yeah. And just for
yeah,
anyone who doesn't know, can you just briefly explain what the 80-10-10 is?
yeah. So 80% carbs is the calories, and then 10% protein and 10% fat.
hmm
And that allows your body to, get the glucose that's needed. Fruit is so demonized in the Western world.
hmm
I didn't eat much fruit before, but yeah, that's how I start my day. But I make sure I pair that with greens. So then it's like, you're just not going up and then down, crashing from
hmm
the carbs. The greens will level it out so that you feel
Yeah.
good. And we need the greens,
Yeah.
especially as women, we need, all the greens and stuff. And for the iron content, I'm watching my blood work. See, my blood work my white cells have been low and stuff. So I'm trying to get the blood work normalized, which I just had blood work drawn and it's normalizing, it's moving in the right direction.
So are the
A lot
doctors
of
impressed also with how much you've improved over the last while?
Oh yeah. Well, and the nurse practitioner, when I talked to her, the labs looked worse during the juice fast, and I emailed her and said, I'm fasting, it's like,
hmm
don't freak out.
hmm
And so I haven't actually spoke to her since I came off the fast, but she knows what I'm doing. I said, well, have you ever seen
Yeah.
anybody fast before? She's like, not to this degree. She says, but you're unique in what you do. So, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't regret it. You're glad you did the fast. I'm sure 100%, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly believe that everything will normalize and I will heal through raw food. I don't have any concern or doubt about it whatsoever.
And why 108 days? Like what made you decide, okay, this is time to stop. Maybe I've benefited enough. It's time to move on.
Well, I got past that 90 days, and then I was just I was still releasing and stuff. And then it was just like, I was talking to the moderators, and, I went off the psyllium husk and the psyllium husk and clay that you do with that. And, it was just like intuitively, it's like, I think I'm done. And so instead of like a lot of people, either 90 days or 120, it just turned out to be 108 days.
Yeah.
It was just time. And, it was emotional coming off the fast too, because it's like, I made it through. I was grateful, did a little video for the group while I included the group in the, breaking the fast, and then did about a 25-minute video talking about the journey on the fast to try to help people, because it is so darn challenging. People just struggle so hard with it.
And do you find, I mean, for me, I did 37-day juice fast once. And I think from what I recall, it was a little harder in the beginning. I know that's the case from a lot of people I interview as well. Would you say that was the case for you? It was like harder in the beginning and then you stuck to it and it got easier? Or were there parts that stick out as being really challenging?
It kind of waxes and wanes. It's like, it'll ebb and flow, where it's like some days are good and some it's challenging. It depends on the shadow work that needs to be done, what's emerging when you're sitting with it. I had really strong detox about day 6. Physically, yeah, the detox was like day 61. I got really sick with detox, and I knew that's what it was. It would, terrible sore throat, headache, just felt terrible. I mean, sore throat to the point I could barely swallow, which is tied into the lymph. It's like I just didn't have a lot of that up to that point, and it's like that lasted a good week and a half. I ended up passing out during that time. It was just
Wow.
quite the challenge. I was doing like the lemon ginger blast, which is the green juice, and then I was doing grapefruit juice, but of course both of those were burning my throat so bad. So I thought, well, I had a friend get me some carrots. It's like carrots shouldn't burn very badly. And so juiced up those carrots, and it took about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And it's like, oh my gosh, my head started spinning. I broke out in this sweat. It's like, for whatever reason, I reacted to them, and I ended up laying down here on the kitchen floor, and I come to, and it's like, oh my gosh, I must have passed out.
Wow.
I didn't feel it. I bumped my head, bit my tongue. I was like, wow, what the heck happened? I ended up, it's like, I don't know if I sweated in the crevice of my leg or I ended up wetting myself. It's like,
Oh, wow.
but I got up, and then the interesting thing was I ended up having a relief, went to the bathroom, and started to feel better, and then I went and laid down and slept it off, and it still woke up. I was, still sick from the detox, but, it was just one of those strange reaction things that happened. And
did you consider stopping then? Or you were just like,
no,
no, wow, look at you.
no,
What a legend of a juice
yeah.
cleanse you are. Wow. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
what were your favorite juices on the juice cleanse and how much did you drink per day to keep going like this?
Well, I did grapefruit all the way through, and the lemon ginger blast. I didn't experiment a lot with different juices. I just, went for those two things. And in the beginning, I was doing like 3 quarts of grapefruit juice, 2 quarts of the lemon ginger blast, and I felt so full and bloated. And then I came into the group at like day 29, and then it was like closer to 40 days. I'm hearing, it's like, well, you need, because Shane recommends 6 quarts of juice, like 4 to 6 quarts, But when I try to get that third lemon ginger blast, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so stuffed. I mean, I wasn't hungry on the juice fast. You'd
Wow.
think you would be, but well, because I had bloating with it, it's like when you got all that waste in there, it ferments in your gut, and it's like it makes it bloaty.
Yeah. So, okay. Sorry, go on.
And okay. So then after the detox, it's like, okay, I'm going to push. And so that's when I upped my consumption. I went from like, I worked up to 6 quarts, and then I was drinking 7, 8, 9 quarts a day.
Wow.
Between the grapefruit and the lemon ginger blast, because it's like, okay, I want to get this done. And then when it was getting closer to 90 days, that's when I went closer to like 9 to 10, just trying to push to get it done. I mean, mentally, I was getting fatigued. And then the mental struggle after 90 days, because I was hoping to be done by 90 days. And then I kind of wanted to break the fast on the spring equinox, but I ended up going past a couple of days past the equinox. at that point, but it was a struggle there at the end. The moderators were fantastic. They really worked with me quite a bit, kind of, we were doing voice text back and forth and helped me through, they were very kind. And I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, I think definitely the support of a coach or a community can help
Yeah,
huge when you're trying to do something like you
definitely.
did. Yeah, absolutely. And then how did you feel when you went back to food after the juice cleanse? You broke it with the prunes test, and then then you went raw.
Well, then I stuck to fruit only for about 2 weeks, I think it was. I don't have that completely written down, but
Mhm.
I really took my time coming off of that. I know that people sometimes break the fast, break it quickly, jump right in, and then they're struggling because they didn't really take their time with it, or let the cravings kick in. Because I watched a ton of YouTube videos and recipes, during that time. So it's like, you're just dreaming about raw food. I want a great big
Mhm.
salad, and
That's
all
what
of
I do
that.
on cleanses too. I'm on
Yeah,
Instagram looking at all
yeah,
the food, like ordering
right.
things that I'm going to eat when it's
Yeah.
over.
And so I had written down tons of recipes. I was prepared and ready, and watched people and how they do it. And it's like, to be successful and stuff. But yeah, I started with one fruit meal a day, continued to juice, did that for a good week. And then I upped the amount of fruit that I was with the fiber and everything, up that. And then I added in leafy greens, tender leafy greens, took my time with that. And then did that for probably 3 to 4 days or so, and then started gently adding in some fat then.
Yeah.
And then so then I've been consuming everything and then trying different things and adding a little bit, like I experiment with broccoli. Cabbage is still a little bit iffy on that. Sometimes I'll get bloated, that I haven't even tried like collard greens. Those are so fibrous and stuff. But I've been foraging for like dandelion greens and that type of thing. You can go out and they're plentiful right now, things like that. And then my mom had grown kale, so I got an abundance of kale. Been making kale chips and different things. So
That's awesome. And you feel satisfied? You don't feel like you miss like your older lifestyle? You feel like
oh no, not at all. Actually, the cleanse. One of the benefits of the cleanse is I don't have cravings at all. It's amazing. I mean, something might sound good. It's like, oh, I think I'll make that, but it's not like this. Got to have a chocolate bar. It's like that's not. It's like I don't have any of that. I mean, it's like all of those. The microbiome it's changed. They aren't, pushing me to consume anything that would not be conducive to the lifestyle that I've chosen to follow. It's
yeah.
amazing.
And like instead of that chocolate bar, like what do you feel like on this lifestyle satisfies you as far as like sweetness goes or salty as well?
Well, I'm really not craving salt, but it's like I'll put the sea vegetables in, wanting a little extra salt in something. But I have the fruit in the morning. I like banana and ice cream really well. I'll do that, pair that with celery, and I'm doing a lot of sprouts, so put that with that, and it's like I'm perfectly content with that. It's like I had obviously
Mhm.
being at over 250 pounds, I had a massive sweet tooth. Well, some people it's bread and pasta, but mine, I, was really addicted to the sugar. And that was one thing when I first changed my lifestyle. I just realized I couldn't control the sugar if I was consuming it.
Mhm.
And so I just pretty much cut it out. I mean, I do a tiny little bit here and there, but I just had to be really cautious with it. It's like people don't realize the molecular makeup of sugar is like one molecule away from cocaine. It's like, no wonder it's addictive.
Mhm. It's so addictive.
So addictive, and so I really struggled with that. So to be at this point where it's like I don't really crave that, I just feel so blessed. It's just
And
amazing.
did you have any other addictions that you've given up along the way, whether that's been through the juice cleanse and raw or even in the past, like with alcohol or smoking or anything?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, check the boxes.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
how were you? Yeah.
I've been clean and sober 14 years. I smoked. I gave up cigarettes. That was actually a New Year's resolution of 2008. Managed to quit smoking, and then February 17th of 2008 was the last time I got high. And I quit alcohol somewhere in the middle of that. You know, I don't know the exact date, but weed was one of those things that it was kicking my butt at that time too. And you just name it. It's like, yeah, I used it all along the way, just, trying to numb out the pain, as we do. And food addiction actually started in adolescence when my parents divorced at the age of 10. And, I just kind of hit that peak. I was, overweight as an adult for 20 years before I started getting healthy.
Wow. And
Yeah.
I'm sure without the addictions, like I'm sure you're so glad you gave up the smoking, the weed, the
Oh,
alcohol, right? Because think who knows during all
yeah.
these years, all the maybe negative things that would have happened if you didn't give them up,
Oh,
right?
I would probably be dead by now, or, debilitated. I was on 6 medications when I started getting healthy. I was able to get off of those. Actually, when I started on organic food, I was able to get off those medications within just a couple of months. Of course, the doctors didn't agree with it, but I didn't ask them. I just weaned myself off.
Yeah.
I'm not giving medical advice. Nobody jump out and just
Yeah,
quit your
no.
medications.
I'm all about everybody doing what works for
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
100%. We're
exactly.
just
Yeah,
sharing your story here for sure.
yeah. So yeah, I just, I was even on 2 antidepressants, and I didn't just go off of them. I slowly weaned off of them, because I know that you don't want to just go off of them, And then when I went to the psychiatrist, he quoted me the statistics for reoccurring depression, if you've had one major depression, if you've had 2 major depressions, that type of thing. And I said, well, I'll keep that in mind. And we kept the door open if I needed to come back. I've never had to look back.
Wow, good for you. I've heard that I've never taken any depressants, but I know people who have, and I've heard they're so, so hard to get off of.
Yeah. But I truly believe, looking back, even through childhood and stuff, there was always some low level type depression. It was just with my divorce, it went into a full blown clinical depression, suicidal at times. And so they helped me survive. But I think for myself personally, so much of that was from the chemicals in the food, because once I went organic and got all the chemicals out, and I realized it's like I was so sensitive to all the chemicals in the food. But when you're bombarded by that, by the
Mm-hmm.
standard diet, you don't realize what is causing what. And then once you clean that up, then you go, oh, wow, okay. And you figure out what is really going on. And
Yeah. And with what
so,
you've learned about organics all over the years, were there certain foods that you've learned to, because I know with all of us, sometimes it's hard to be all organic, right? So were
right.
there certain foods over the years that you learned to like absolutely stay away from unless they're organic? Like to stay
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Cause, well, I really pay attention to like the dirty dozen list. Like apples, I will always buy organic. Celery, I will always buy organic. Like the grapefruit, when I was fasting, that was non-organic, but I just would wash them before I would juice them, handle them, because there's probably residue on there and stuff. But the thicker rind fruits, last year I was juicing a lot of watermelon, and I didn't buy that organic, but I didn't juice the rind, which I understand the rind is actually nutritious too. We were always told, oh, you never want to eat that. But my understanding is that it's okay if you do, but I would make that organic if you were going to consume that rind. So, there's the clean 15, the dirty dozen. If people aren't familiar with that, you can look that up, and that gives you a good guidance on, if you cannot afford everything organic, then, follow the dirty dozen list and try and go with the dirty dozen and get that organically.
Mm-hmm. And I know with
So
all these positive changes you've experienced, as far as like the juice cleanse, the raw, and all these positive health changes internally and physically as well, have you also experienced a lot of positive changes or changes externally, like in your environment as well, or like your relationships, just anything in your life has changed as well as a result of changing everything on the inside?
well, yeah, along the way, friendships drop off, new friendships are
Mm-hmm.
made. It's an ebb and flow, just like anything. Of course, when you come out of depression and all of that, I've worked on my house too. It was a mess from being depressed, and you can get your life in order. It's like everything, improves.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to be out in nature. I try to get some sunshine just about every day. If it's sunny here, I live in Indiana, so it's up and down, especially wintertime. It gets pretty rough. I mean, I know you're in Canada, so
Mm-hmm.
same thing, you're dealing with the cold. And so get out as we can. But of course, now I'm doing gardening with my mom. And so get outside that way, and just, I really enjoy the birds and, nature, and being connected to everything. And I really wasn't like that before when I was, at my worst. So yeah, that's been a transformation. I try to exercise. I try to rebound a little bit every day, which, mini trampoline, remove the limp, but go to the gym a couple days a week. I haven't been able to run for quite a while. I would like to get back into that if I could. But that was one thing that went by the wayside with the autoimmunity, slowed me down and stuff. So I haven't done any of those events for a while, but right now it's just about feeling good and doing what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you what you felt like led to most of the weight loss. Was it diet or were you exercising along the way? But you would say more so it was probably the things you were consuming, right? That led to the most of the weight loss.
Well, I think combination really, because I did start, when I started making healthy changes, the exercise was incorporated at that time too. So it was, I think, a little bit of everything. I don't think you can just do one thing. It's like we need to build the muscle too, that type of thing. Of course, it's been tweaked along the way. I did the events, when you're doing endurance events, you have to, of course, then I was exercising more. You can go into those things untrained, but you're going to hurt.
So that you did some of those, what are they called? Those mud events, like those mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spartan races. Well, there was at that time, there was Warrior Dash, which is a little less intense, but the Spartan races, they have varying levels on those. They have like a short one, a medium one, and a longer one. I trained for a full year. I did the medium length one. It turned out there's always a range of, you don't know how long it's going to be exactly. It turned out to be 8.5 miles with 27 obstacles. It took 4 hours to complete, but I trained for an entire year for it. And that was the best race ever. They talk about a runner's high. I'd never had it before, but I come off of that race just absolutely high on adrenaline. It was just incredible. And just the best accomplishment. It was awesome.
Yeah. You must have felt so proud of yourself. Do you think ever, like, when you look back at like the point where you were not your healthiest and when maybe you were your heaviest, did you ever think like then you would be doing that one day?
No, never would have dreamed ever.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just incredible to actually accomplish that. And yeah, and running, it's not that I love running, never did, it was just my nemesis. And it's like, okay, I'm going to learn to run, and that's why when I started losing weight, I wanted to start running because it was just something I could never do. I was asthmatic as a child and heavy, as chubby. Even in high school, we were not, I have two sisters, none of us were athletic, and so then, and overweight for over 20 years. So, I was in my 40s when I started doing all this. And so just to accomplish that and do it, it was just incredible.
Yeah.
And no, I would have never dreamed it ever in a million years.
Yeah. Amazing. See, it's so amazing what we can accomplish and how things can change.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just amazing. I'm wondering too, on the juice cleanse, I don't think I asked you, and people might be wondering, how much weight did you lose specifically on the juice cleanse itself? Do you know? Did you track that?
Well, not specifically because I didn't have batteries for the scale, but I know from the time that I went vegan to the time that I ended the juice fast, I had lost about 35 pounds approximately because I didn't, as it was even when I started my journey in 2007, I didn't get on the goal wasn't about the weight loss. So it's like, I didn't get on the scale specifically and go, here's where I'm at. And then I'm going to, keep an eye on that. So I have kind of approximates of what I knew approximately where I was at. And this is approximately where it landed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just wondering, like, do you have some advice for anybody out there who might be struggling to stay on track with the juice cleanse or with raw or with developing healthier habits? I know it can be a big mental game and it can be very difficult for people. So for anybody watching who might want to make some positive changes like you have, do you have any advice for people out there who might be struggling with those things right now?
I would say, just, join, if you can find a group that you can relate to, find people, online or in the community, that you might be able to find people in person that you can connect with. But there's so much online, support out there. There's a lot of online groups or people, join Raw Vegan Heroes. I mean, that's about raw food. But then, even on Facebook, I know there's like here where I'm at, there's a Facebook group. It's private, but it's free, So it's other vegans. I don't think there's any raw people in there that, from what I can tell, but you can connect with people that way, and just, and there's coaches out there too, if, that are available. You said you're getting ready to start a group. So, I
I am. Yeah, within the next couple of months for sure. Cause I think it can just help so many people. And then I feel like I'll just be in touch with so many people directly too. And I'd love to share their stories, more real people on my channel and stuff too. So it's just, yeah, I think it would be great.
yeah, absolutely. It's like, just get that support, and it's not about, don't beat yourself up, do self-love, it's like set a goal and
Mhm.
do what you can. And then if you fall off track, pick up and start again, treat yourself the way you'd treat a friend, be gentle. We don't beat our friends up when they make a slip. It's just, I like the saying, slip and trip your way to success. It's all just part of the journey. We want to get to that end point, but enjoy the journey along the way. There's so much to it. It's like there's really not, it's not like we get there and we arrive. It's like it's still, I'm working on my journey. It's been 2 months since breaking the fast, but I'm still getting comfortable in this lifestyle. It's like sometimes it takes longer for me to prepare food than what I would like. It's like getting comfortable and learning new recipes and doing things, but it's always exciting to try new stuff. That's when I broke the fast. It's like, oh, I'm looking forward to trying some, I've developed some new favorites. You had all the old favorites of what you really liked and stuff. And it's like, well, it's like, I'll just develop new favorites and, try
Mhm.
some stuff, and stuff is great. And then sometimes stuff I try, it's like, not so much.
Mhm.
That's not a good one. And that's okay. It's like, so you don't have it again. There's plenty to try. There's so much, in the raw world, there's so much information, so many recipe books. People are developing so much stuff. It's like, it's fantastic.
Mhm. Absolutely, it really is. And do you feel like you're gonna stay raw vegan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For me, I don't feel like there's any turning back. I mean, yes, I'm still healing. My gut is not 100%, but overall, it's like night and day. I don't see myself going back to cooked food at all.
Yeah, it's been
Uh,
the same for me. It's just such a huge, it just changes your life completely.
yeah. How long have you been raw then?
For almost 6 years.
6 years. Okay. Yeah. You've got
Yeah.
some time in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and, sometimes along the journey, I didn't ever anticipate that I have the autoimmune issues when I was organic. I mean, I felt really good
Mhm.
during that time. So
Mhm.
even if you're raw, it's like sometimes we can, encounter different things. I don't think it would be the diet. It's just things need to be healed. It's like something is emerging to, show that we need to make some other changes. So it's like, even if I had challenges, it's like I wouldn't give up raw. It's like I just feel like it's the way to go. Uh,
Mhm.
will provide the healing that, for myself, for what I need. I can't speak for anybody else, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering, I know a lot of people say that they think this diet costs a lot more. So has that been your experience? Does it cost a lot more than your old lifestyle? And are there any ways you have, or any tips for people on how to do it at a lesser cost or on a budget?
Well, for me, I was already organic, so I don't feel like the cost is, I haven't really tracked it super duper close. So it doesn't really feel any more expensive to me than what it was before. And now the juice fast was expensive. So it's like, it feels cheap, cheap in comparison to doing the juice fast, because it takes so much produce during that time.
Mhm.
But especially right now, it's like we're coming into season here with the roadside markets. You got the farmers markets, that type of thing. Try to find the produce that is getting ready to outdate, so that you can get it discounted that way. And then some of it can be frozen if you find it at a discount. Look for your spices, when they're on sale, and stock up, that
Mhm.
type of thing. Follow the Dirty Dozen list, so that way, if you are looking for organic, get the organic that is going to be highly pesticided, and do the other stuff conventional. Like bananas, I never buy those organic. I don't feel like I need to, because they've got the thick skin and that type of
Mhm.
thing. But like mangoes, I know those are on the Dirty Dozen, so I always get those. Some of the stuff I can get at Costco a little cheaper, you know, I shop multiple stores. You know, it's like a lot of times I'll go on one day, I might go to 4 different stores where I know stuff is the cheapest. Just make the rounds, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then I use Debbie Meyer green boxes, you know, put my produce in those. It's like the green bags. I don't know if you've seen those. It takes the off gas off out of the container, so then it keeps the produce fresher longer too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so trying to do it that way, you know, and just rotate stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if you're supplementing anything now, or if you have been. I know for me, like being 6 years, at one point I was deficient in a couple things. So I now take an all-in-one supplement, which is I think is great because it has appropriate amounts of like iodine, it has B12, D, K, DHA, it has a bunch of things in it. So it's like an all-in-one, which is really good, which I love. I don't think a lot of people know about it. So I'll link that down below. I've been using it for about a year. I absolutely love that because I think it's important if you're going to do the lifestyle long term to consider the supplements, or at least at minimum check your blood work and see where you're
Right.
at. Because I think
Yeah.
sometimes you can feel great and then not realize, okay, a couple years in, maybe you're deficient, or I mean,
Right.
some
Yeah.
people it takes years and years, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because right now, my B12, everything is okay as far as that goes. I mean, some of the other blood work is out of whack, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not anything that I can supplement. It's has to
Mm-hmm.
do, you know, with the white blood cell and that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're monitoring everything right now, but things are moving in the right direction,
Good.
which
Yeah.
is yeah, the whole goal.
Yeah, you seem in a really great place. You've had so many positive changes. You've had such a huge transformation as well. So I want to thank you again so much for coming on today, sharing your story. And I hope everyone to the viewers have enjoyed it as well. And Brooke, if you feel called to sort of end off with anything to the viewers, I would encourage you to absolutely do so now as well.
Yeah, I would just say, you know, if you're struggling with your health, you know, consider that juice fast, get some support that you need. Even within Raw Vegan Heroes, you know, Marguerite Jade that, you know, you spoke of, has her group coaching that she does that's private within the group, you know, that people sign up for. Wonderful support, you know, if you're considering doing that, you know, just lots of support out there, you know, reach out to people. And I think anybody that's done it is willing to, you know, help in any way that they can, because it is challenging, but it's oh so worth it in the end.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to reach out to you and ask you some questions, I'm wondering if there's anywhere that they can find you or follow you.
Yeah, my I'm on Facebook on under Brooke Riffle. It's Riffell. More than welcome to reach out. You know, I'm not a YouTuber by any means like that, but you know, yeah, if anybody wants support or they want to reach out, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, thanks again, Brooke. That's awesome. And to the viewers, again, I totally hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.